Hello guys, thank you so much for coming back to watch another video on my channel. Now I'd love to cover quite a lot of Resident Evil stuff or content on my channel, which includes leaks or speculation as to what we can expect from Capcom for the future Resident Evil titles. Now recently they just done an interview with IGN to talk about the remakes they've been making recently and what we can expect from them moving forward. So without wasting any time, let's find out which Resident Evil title or any other remake we can expect from Capcom moving forward. And as always, I ask you, if you do end up liking this video and the content I've made on my channel, do make sure to give us a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to my channel, because it would allow me to make more of these videos for you guys. Recently, Capcom has done an interview with IGN to talk about the remakes they've just recently made and how successful they have been for Capcom. And to be honest, they're not wrong, because the recent remakes they've just done, they've been massive success for Capcom. It has put interest for the fans who've been waiting to hear and to play a proper Resident Evil title since the debacle of Resident Evil 6 from Capcom. Now let's deep dive into the interview they've recently done with IGN to talk about the next remake we can expect from Capcom. Obviously they're not going to be talking much in detail about what we can expect, but they would give us some sort of hints and we can gather from that and we can talk about what we can expect from Capcom, because we know they're not going to stop doing these remakes because they have been massive success for the Capcom brand and how much people now love Resident Evil due to some of the remakes they've just recently made. This interview actually occurred at PlayStation Partner Awards event, which happened in Japan, and IGN attended it and they obviously translated it in English, and they asked the Resident Evil 4 remake director that if they're going to be working on the next Resident Evil remake in due course, and they replied as yes, they will be working on the future Resident Evil game in the form of a remake. And they also confirmed that we have released 3 remakes so far and they've all been received very well, since it allows a modern audience to play these games. It is something I'm happy to do as someone that loves these older games, and we want to continue doing more. And obviously he's not wrong in saying that, because the recent Resident Evil remake titles has been massive success for Capcom. If you're talking about Resident Evil 2 remake, this is literally my favourite Resident Evil game at the moment. Then we have Resident Evil 4 remake, and even if you're talking about Resident Evil 3 remake, which was a good game, there was a lot of good content, but overall a lot of people did enjoy it. So all of these titles have been a success if you look at from Capcom's perspective, so it makes sense for them to do a next future Resident Evil remake, which could be either in the form of a Resident Evil 0 remake, Resident Evil 1 remake, or Resident Evil 5 remake, or even Code Veronica, which is the most requested one at the moment. And it also clarifies that the next remake is also going to be a Resident Evil focus, which I thought they might be going in the direction of revitalizing the old dead franchises like Dino Crisis or other games, but obviously they're focusing at the moment mostly on Resident Evil franchise. So therefore we're going to be seeing another Resident Evil remake from the older Resident Evil titles instead of a new IP or an old franchise game done into a remake form. Now they further on confirmed, I quote, "What game we will remake in the future is something we would like to announce in the future, so please look forward to it." Now obviously they're not going to confirm the next Resident Evil remake they're going to be working on, because I believe they've been doing back and forward with the main title and the remake, so the next title would be a Resident Evil 9. So they're just saying keep an eye on the news from Capcom officially, because they will announce whichever the next Resident Evil title it would be, whether that's a mainline Resident Evil title or a remake which might come down the line in the next 2 to 3 years time. Then it continues, "When developing a new game there is no way to know what will be received well by the players, which makes it difficult. In the case of remake, there are already players that have played the original, which I think can be seen as an advantage. We are very grateful to users that are vocal about their opinion. It allows us to develop the player's opinion in mind. For example, if this is how the player feels, then maybe we can make it like this. I think this is one of the reasons why our remakes are so well received." And obviously they're not wrong in saying that, because they have been listening to fans. Look at from Resident Evil 3 remake and how Resident Evil 4 remake turned out to be. If they weren't listening to the fans, that game could have turned out to be a disaster, which it hasn't, and it actually turned out to be one of those successful remakes they've done. So they have been listening to the fans. They also done surveys to find out what fans been asking, and that's the reason as to why we make these videos, including myself or the other Resident Evil channels out there. We talk about these leaks or the opinions because Capcom do listen to their fans, and they do listen to Resident Evil community, including myself and you guys, and to find out how much we care and how much passionate we are, and we give them ideas and they implement them in these projects. So I think that's always a good idea from a developer when they're showing that how much they care and how much they listen to their community. Then they further confirmed that we use RE Engine for many of our titles. It is true that sharing information between teams has greatly benefited the speed of development. And then they further confirmed about Resident Evil 4 Remake, that the Resident Evil 4 Remake is the series' most relentlessly exciting adventure, rebuilt, refined and realized to the full extent of its enormous potential. So this further confirms they're going to continue with RE Engine for the time being for the future Resident Evil titles, which they introduced in Resident Evil 7 instead of working on Rex Engine, because I think RE Engine, they confirmed, is actually easier to communicate with between teams, and the development time is actually can be reduced, because rather than extending or waiting for 5 or 6 years as other developers do, they're actually making good Resident Evil title within 2 or 3 years time span, or maybe 4 years if they want to spend more time or make a more high budgeted Resident Evil title. So this sounds promising, and they're going to continue with the same trend of remaking the old Resident Evil titles, which we all love to this date, and they're going to continue to listen to their community and the fans like yourself and me, that what improvements we want them from these old titles, which we didn't appreciate when we originally played these games. And they're going to announce something in the future, which might happen maybe, let's say, December this year, which I think is far too early to say, or maybe early next year. So we'll wait to hear something officially from Capcom, and I'll continue to make these videos to talk about the future Resident Evil titles. So what do you guys think, and are you excited for the next Resident Evil remake title? Which remake do you think Capcom should work on? Please do let me know in the comment section down below in this video. So that's it for the video, guys. I'll catch you again with another video on my channel. Until then, look after yourself. Have a good one.